The power on the dark side.
Hello everyone, what's up? It's Luke here. I know I haven't uploaded in a while, but I hope to get back on track with YouTube videos by starting off with this one. Now, when what I'm about to cover for today, to an extent, was released, there was quite a bit of coverage surrounding this leaked trailer for a supposed upcoming Harry Potter game, and I have watched it, but I am trying to keep my expectations for it as low as possible, because it hasn't even officially been announced yet. Don't get me wrong, from the footage that is available to watch in that leaked trailer, I'm hoping that this game comes to fruition, but if it doesn't, I wouldn't be completely surprised. However, keeping my own perception of this game being real or not out of the window from here on out, well, for the rest of this video anyway, should this game come to fruition, I've come up with a list of 10 things that I would not want to see. So without any further ado, I give you guys my list of the top 10 things I do not want to see in this supposed Harry Potter RPG. Number 10, an uninteresting story. Now, this shouldn't really come as a surprise to anybody, but like any game, the story of this game must grip the players. This could be the latest virtual adventure in the world of one of planet Earth's biggest intellectual properties, and the last virtual adventure in the Harry Potter franchise that we got, not counting Hogwarts Mystery because that's an entirely different bag of disappointments in itself, was the at most playable, using a generous term, Deathly Hallows Part 2 movie tie-in game. And I won't go into that in depth here, because, well, yeah, those games have been slated to death. But this is the first virtual adventure in the Harry Potter universe that has an original story to it. Or, well, it could be good, it could be not so good, we don't know. But please, insert developer here, if this game is real, please do not let us down. Number 9. Shallow customization. Now, when it comes to this, a lot of games generally that offer customization really only allow you to customize the player's appearance, and that's about it. But a defining attribute of RPGs is to be able to customize multiple elements of the character you're playing as, from the appearance, obviously, to various attributes and things like that. So maybe, just maybe, we could have things like being able to customize our appearance, attributes, skills, maybe even our wand. Granted, that last element would break one law as established in the Harry Potter canon, but come on, that would still be interesting. All I'm trying to say here is that if it's only the player's appearance that can be customized and that's it, it's gonna get a tad boring. Number 8. Choices without consequences. Now, what I mean by this is that the dialogue tree has to have a genuine impact on the interactions with other characters and leave the player feeling emotion for those choices that they made. Every choice made must have a consequence, particularly if it's an RPG game. And an example of a game that did this right was the classic from BioWare, that is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. And what I'm about to mention here has massive spoilers for Knights of the Old Republic, so if you haven't played it, please leave right now or skip forward if you don't want the big twist of that game spoiled for you. Now, in KOTOR, it's one of many RPGs where with the dialogue trees, depending on how you decide to react and interact with characters, you can either be a massive backside, or you can be an angelic individual who is an absolute Boy Scout. Who knows? But with Knights of the Old Republic, when you get towards the end of the game, you find out that you were once Darth Revan, the former master of the big villain for the game, Mr. Darth Malak here. And when you fight Darth Malak for the first time, Bastila, one of your party members, ends up sacrificing herself so that way you, Karth, and the rest of the Ebon Hawk's crew can escape the Leviathan. Then you end up fighting Bastila because she's been corrupted to being one of Malak's disciples of the dark side at the summit of the Rakotan Temple. And this is the first of 2 occasions where you fight her, and it's at this opportunity where you can decide how the ending of the game will go down. You can either resist the dark side and not join Bastila, or you can join Bastila, kill off 4 of your companions, and make the final section on the Starforge ridiculously difficult. So, yeah, give the choices in this game both an emotional response from the player, have them mean something, and maybe have them reduce or increase the difficulty of the gameplay depending on how noble or malicious the players want to be. Because, that could make for some interesting replay value. Just please don't make the dialogue trees, if there even is that mechanic in this game, pointless and bland. Number 7. A linear game world. Now, what I mean by this is, whilst the game will have linear sections to it, well, it seems pretty likely that such sections would exist, I don't want the game to be all linear. I want it to be open world. And that seems to be what the developers, again, if this game is real, are going for. But the big point I'm trying to drive home here is we've seen open worlds in previous Harry Potter games, and if the Order of the Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince movie tie-in games on the PlayStation 2 are capable of having a fully replicated Hogwarts from the movies that's, again, replicated perfectly from the big screen to the games, then current or next-gen consoles, depending on if this game is real and on what platforms it will get released, have absolutely no excuse for making this game linear. Number 6. Non-canon or misrepresented spells. Whilst it's not the number 1 thing on this list, it's definitely going to be a big thing if non-canon or misrepresented spells make their way into this game. And I'm sure every single Harry Potter fan who has played the movie tie-in games understand what I mean. For instance, you have Flipendo, which wasn't even a canon spell from the books and or movies, but here it is in the early Harry Potter games anyway. You have the PS2, Xbox and GameCube remake of Philosopher's Stone, which invented Spongify out of bloomin' nowhere. You have Expelliarmus being used as a shield charm in games 2 and 3. You have it break shields in the Deathly Hallows Part 2 movie tie-in game. Come on, seriously. If this game could end the trend of spells being either randomly invented or being untrue to their on-page and on-screen counterparts, that would be brilliant. Number 5. Monotonous combat. Yes, Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2, I'm looking at you. Now, this, I'm sure, if we stuck with the Harry Potter games as they became less entertaining to play from probably Goblet of Fire onwards, then fans would know that by the time the Deathly Hallows games came around, you were basically suckered into playing a pair of bland and repetitive third-person shooters. Please, 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 please. I understand that combat is a key element across the board with Harry Potter, and of course, you're gonna need your wand your potions, and whatever other artillery may exist in this game, that's true to the Wizarding World obviously, at your disposal to defeat those who stand in your way. But please, please, please do not make the combat so goddamn monotonous that it becomes boring after, say, 5 to 10 minutes. Number 4. Random encounters. This is yet another sin that the Deathly Hallows Part 1 game was guilty of. And this, basically, for any of you who don't know, there were 3 occasions in the story of the Deathly Hallows Part 1 game where the narrative would suddenly grind to a halt because Ron and Hermione needed to rest or do research on something, and you were forced to play through 3 sets of 3 encounter challenges. And what is it that you did in these encounters? Well, you just did more firing off spells at Death Eaters and sneaking under the invisibility cloak. As if by the respective points that those sets of encounters came up, you weren't sick of doing it already in the main story. I mean, come on, please, 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 please. If this Harry Potter RPG is real, again, unknown developer, please, please, please do not force us into random encounters, because what the Deathly Hallows Part 1 game suffered from was monotonous gameplay that was made even more monotonous because of those encounters, and they halted the pace of the narrative. So yes, please, if this Harry Potter RPG is real, don't put us through that. Number 3. Lacking side missions. And I won't use any gameplay footage or images to prove my point with this one, because I think we can all agree that when it comes to side missions in games, there's often something to do, but it often just devolves into being, say, fetch quests where you have to go and find stuff for people and then bring it to them. Yeah, please do not just give us boring fetch quest missions. I mean, missions of that kind are okay, but you don't want to just overfeed the players with so many fetch quests, because otherwise the side missions just become more the same and they get boring. Give us side missions with some sort of narrative grounding to them. That would make them interesting. Be it, oh, I don't know, trying to help students with homework, and I mean actually try and helping them, not just bringing them homework books or something. Or maybe you have to help, I don't know, clean the classroom of Hogwarts because a teacher asked you to, or something like that. Even though that's not what I pitched just now, would be more entertaining than just a boring fetch quest. Number 2. Paid DLC. That's also lackluster. Yep, if there's one thing that sends alarms screaming in the heads of gamers these days, it's DLC. And this is for several reasons. Firstly, you're being charged for additional content even though you've already sacrificed a fair chunk of money that you'll never get back for the game itself to begin with. Secondly, some DLC could be exclusive to a more expensive edition of the game. Moreover, there could be more content locked behind a paywall or rendered inaccessible to you outright unless you pre-ordered the game. Finally, if the developer isn't being open or honest about the post-launch content that players are receiving for the game, it will be disappointing, no doubt. So yeah, there's more than one way these days that players' wallets can get screwed over because of DLC being implemented in games. If this game has paid DLC, it has to be worthwhile at the very, very least. Ideally, why not take a page from CD Projekt Red's book and make the game have free DLC that no one has to pay a penny for? Again though, if the DLC has to be paid for, at least charge it for a reasonable price and make it worthwhile. Come on. I mean, Preferably, I don't want DLC in this game at all, but if post-release content has to be in this game, make it free, worthwhile, and don't lock said post-launch content behind an expensive season pass. Number 1. My final thing is, drum roll please, microtransactions. Now, I don't mean to sound rude to anyone when I say this, but is anyone surprised that I've put microtransactions at the number 1 spot? I mean, microtransactions are so villainous nowadays that I am forever, from here on out, coining them the abyss of video game evils. Here are a few examples. You can buy everything in the crypt and unlock easy fatality tokens in Mortal Kombat X. Well, I say unlock, but you're really paying with real money to be able to do both those things. You can use real money to buy source crystals in Injustice 2, which in that game you're kind of forced to do if you want the source crystals, because you earn them very rarely and in very little quantities through gameplay. You can buy extra gear and orcs in Middle-earth Shadow of War, which is ridiculous because plenty of those two resources in that game can be earned through gameplay anyway. And then you have the infamous Star Wars Battlefront 2 2017's microtransaction system, which is so unforgivably insulting. All I will say about that game's microtransactions even further is that when a microtransaction system in a game is so bad and it spreads around the web so much to the point where government officials get a hold of it, you know your reputation is in a deep hole right in the ground and you have to dig yourself back up, even though the damage you did, if it's that bad, is irreparable. Now, all I'm saying here is, well, I don't want microtransactions in this game, period. But if they have to be in this game, make it so that they're pointless to buy. I mean, seriously, don't employ a one-for-one mobile game microtransaction strategy, because that would be the death of this game, if it does exist. I mean, look at what the microtransaction system in Hogwarts Mystery did to that game. Need I say more? But if this game does have microtransactions in it, and again, I hope it doesn't, but if it does, at least don't do what, say, Mortal Kombat X or Batman Arkham Knight did, and have it shoved in our faces every time we look at the game's main menu. Though preferably, I would like them out of the game completely. Period. As I've said, guys, if this game is real, fingers crossed that those behind it will hear our prayers. However, given how developers are becoming particularly more greedy and publishers are becoming more greedy as this era of gaming continues to exist, well, we can't help but be on alert and be upset when games that people are excited for don't meet the expectations of the fans, or when scummy business practices try to stain what could have been an otherwise great game. Also, again, this game hasn't even officially been announced yet. As such, we don't really have a clue as to what to expect. I'm keeping my expectations as low as possible, as I've already mentioned. So until this game graces us with an official announcement or a trailer or something like that, I won't say anything about this anymore. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think this game is official? Do you think that the trailer for this supposed upcoming game is fan-made? Do you think it's fake? Do you agree or disagree with anything I've said? Let me know in the comments below. Feel free to do that if you want. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So until then, goodbye, you've been warned, and mischief managed.